it works. So, I also don't know at what point when we'll have angry dog yelling when Megan gets home.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she's working late tonight, so
Because she was home this afternoon.
yes.
Because there was that adorable picture that she posted of Monty, which I
Yeah.
have since saved to my phone.
Yeah. So basically, Mass Save came by to do a follow-up, and so
Yeah.
that way I didn't have to leave work
Yep.
and have to make up more time. Megan was able to take a lunch break, basically head home for that, and basically Monty wanted to jump up on the Mass Save guys, and Megan wouldn't let him, and so he then sulked the entire time.
Well, not only the
And then
sulking one,
and
but
then they
then
left, and then
him at
he
the
like
door.
ran at the door, and then just like looked at Megan.
That's the one I was talking about.
Gave her a look for a hot minute.
Yep. That's the one that I was talking about that I've saved to my phone.
Yeah. So. Okay.
But yeah.
There we go.
Ugh.
All right. So we got that. Just gonna make a comment.
Ooh.
Boom.
Oh,
Okay.
hey, there's that.
There's what?
You made the comment, and then I got the notification.
Oh yeah. So, hello, internet people. Welcome to the pre-show. We're gonna keep it real quick because we want to make sure that we start and end on time.
Yes.
So, so yeah. Do we have anything else before we start?
Actually, I don't.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
So, oh, hang on. I got to do a thing. The other thing. Also, Twitch updated their logo and it looks weird now.
It does.
They did a total rebrand.
Oh, did they?
Ago. Yeah, at the TwitchCon they changed a bunch, or they talked about a bunch of stuff.
Oh, that makes sense. Doing it for TwitchCon, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I'll get used to it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, but at the end of the day, it's a logo. So
exactly.
You know, whatever. It's design snobbery is what it is. So I'm not super concerned. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna start the show. I'm gonna change the terminology as well, so that we're no longer saying "going live" to confuse Megan. So we're gonna start the show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 100. Coming up on episode 159, podcast is back, baby! The goose is loose and running amok. New options for clerics, druids, wizards, and more on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. We're back after a 2-week hiatus. 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks. And I got married. Woo!
Yay!
So Megan and I got married. It's done. It's finally over with. Don't have to worry about any of that prep stuff anymore. So yeah, and it feels good. It feels weird to basically because it was like a 2-week stretch of just like no podcasts, no streams, no comics or anything. Yeah, so getting back into the swing of things is now like, oh, what is this? What is this Twitch thing? So yeah, but feels good. And yeah, as you can tell, I'm all limbered up and ready to go with my vocalizations and stuff. Couldn't even get through the intro. Druids. So, but yeah, we had a bunch of D&D news, and some Nintendo news. But the big thing, is going to be, a lot of, and we'll talk about this in the 8-bit adventure segment, but, a lot of changes are going to come to like the stream schedule, for this channel, and for YouTube, for the YouTube content. So, but why don't we start with our news this week? So, we already talked about the fact that Descent into Avernus is out, but I now have the book, courtesy of Mr. Josh York. Thank you very much.
Me?
So, yeah, this book's great. Like,
it's pretty cool.
It's, I mean, the biggest thing that I was excited for was the infernal sort of Avernus war machines. And just how to do like kind of a little more interesting vehicle type stuff. Did not disappoint at all, between mishaps, how to repair it, the fact that vehicles have like their own special form of exhaustion, enhancements that you can do. So I love it. Definitely gonna make use of it for future Jamora stuff. Not necessarily the infernal war machines themselves, but maybe just, or maybe we do. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, just like a lot of the monsters, this Krokik Tech Toek thing is pretty metal.
The whole book's pretty metal.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
The concept art in the back, I was really glad that they put like all the concept art that the artists were doing to inspire the story artists, because it looks really cool. Sorry, he's completely digging this.
He just got to start looking at it when he got home on Sunday.
Yeah. So, and the fact that there's like there's a Tressum called Slobber Chops. I mean, that's right there. You know, just a disgruntled flying cat, one-eared flying cat.
I've only really like read all the like about the adventure stuff.
Yeah.
So like just like the brief synopsis on all the locations and kind of the characters and NPCs that are at play, and because I'm more interested in that stuff, honestly, than the actual adventure itself. I'm always more interested in background information and having that type of stuff inspire me for ideas. But I have glanced through lots of it, and like, turn right to that page. I was going through the monsters. Like, one of the first things I always do is look through the monsters and look through the magic items. That's usually the first pages I turn to in the book.
We've got our
the appendices in the back.
We've got our third printing of Tiamat. I think.
Yeah. So there's Tiamat and I don't know, Baphomet's there for some reason. So I was like, oh, why is there a demon lord present? But that would make sense. Because
there's not one demon lord.
I see. I didn't see the other one. Is there another? Who's the other?
Yinogu is also there.
Oh, that's the Knoll one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense because Avernus is basically the front line. Of the Blood War. So it makes sense that they're present. But I mean, this all. Oh, there he is. But yeah, this all makes sense, and I like the whole Zerial thing. So the fallen angel that's now the archdevil of Avernus, and there's just like the cool stuff of this like whatever this like thing just floating above whatever city she made disappear or something.
Oh,
big like
Turiel or something.
Yeah, Elturiel, and it's called the Companion.
The Companion, yeah, which is
basically this like celestial being trapped in a sphere or something like
it's
this weird thing.
It's a companion cube.
No. It's have you ever seen the cinematic for Final Fantasy 14? Like the end of the world of Final Fantasy 14 they did. Where like Bahamut's like locked in this like sphere and then breaks out and destroys the world. I imagine it is kind of like that type of deal. At least that's what it seems like described. Like there's this celestial being like in this sphere that's floating above the city, like powering it, some weird magic. But again, it seems pretty cool. It's just like one of those kind of mysterious, like not fully explained things. They just kind of drop in there, like But for me, it's imagination-wise, it's just a visually cool addition. That's the type of stuff I like reading for in these books. So it's like, that gives me a visual in my mind that I'm going to store and probably use at some point or base something off of. Because that's how almost all of my either I see something, read something, or a lot of times it's just music gives me a feeling, and that will often inspire me for lots of scenes. But like I said, that's why I buy all the D&D books, just to be inspired and steal stuff. Which I think is a perfectly valid reason to buy the books.
100%.
Without even having to use the adventures. Also, there's always cool, like I always say, there's always cool maps and monsters and magic items and stuff like that you can jack and put in your game too. Like to save you time of making a dungeon or like a map or designing something, you can just jack a map or a dungeon or a cave or something out of these adventures.
I mean, that's what they're there for.
Yeah. Usually,
for example,
specific context for the adventure, but you can just replace everything in it with your own stuff.
Of cool magic items is we have Archon's Battle Axe.
Yep.
There's Infernal Tack, which is used to bind nightmares. And then you can use it to summon nightmares. Wait.
Are we saying nightmares like
So nightmares are a specific monster where they're basically like the infernal version of unicorns.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page of that. Like nightmares, like MARES.
There's also a giant warhammer made by the father of frost giants.
Yeah. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then just soul coins. That whole thing.
That entire terrifying bit. Yeah, that.
So, yeah. But yeah, the book's great. I also was gifted the dice set from my friend Dawn. The dice set's pretty good. It's got the symbol of ball on the front.
Oh, yeah.
It comes with 4d6, 2d20, a d4, a d10, another d10 for the hundreds, d12, a d8. Comes with a map of Avernus, which I think the book comes with one too.
It does.
It's like a pullout. Yep. So it's got a map with none of the markers that say what things are. And on the other side, it has kind of illustrations of various devils and demons. And all of the demons are flavored with Yinogu's influence, so they're all very hyena-like.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do them to scale so that you can get a sense of like how big things are. Yeah, it turns out demons are a lot bigger than devils.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, a lot of the devils are like human-sized.
But the whole like deal with devils is you start off as the lowest possible devil, right? And then the more you please,
you start off as a lemur.
Basically.
Yeah.
And
you start off as a lemur and then you just kind of break up.
Well, if if you're viewed as worthy, you get to ascend in rank.
Yes.
Most of the time, they do not ascend in rank.
Right. You can also descend in rank if you make.
You can.
Yes, if you make somebody mad enough, you will definitely go down that spiral.
Yeah. And then on the back of each there's also like illustration cards, and on the back of each one is like a little thing by Volo about that type of fiend. So that's cool. So yeah. All in all, really great. It's another sort of really great flavored adventure. That just has a lot of elements that are great for poaching individually, or whether they be monsters, NPCs, magic items, whatnot. Also, the fact that we have like a fleshing out of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's not been used a lot so far in the adventures.
Yeah.
Published in this edition.
Yeah, they've really been focusing on Waterdeep and Neverwinter instead.
Lots of Waterdeep. I mean, I get it. Waterdeep's the big city. Baldur's Gate always kind of interested me more, just only because it seemed like there was a lot more like dark culty stuff going down there. Hence all the ball symbols and the Dead 3 stuff going on, and that's like literally the first part of this adventure is like figuring out what's going on with like all the cults for the Dead 3.
And the fact
I'm always
that
interested in the Dead 3, and that's like cool. I like
that. And then Baldur's Gate 3 is going to take place after the events of this adventure.
Okay.
From what I understand. So it's like, I think it assumes that the characters are somewhat successful in accomplishing their mission.
How bold of you to assume.
But whether they make it back alive or not, I don't know if that's assumed. So,
I mean, it doesn't matter for the game. It's a different set of adventures, right? So
yeah. So, and then, I mean, as far as Acquisitions Incorporated, they're stuck in Avernus for the time being.
For the
they're
remainder.
Always it's just for them. That's kind of one of Wizards' promoting tools, right? They're all
those,
that is. Oh yes.
Those
yes,
games always are just whatever the current adventure is, or book, or whatever is coming out.
That is.
They kind of chuck them into whatever that is.
Yeah, it started as a marketing tool for 4th edition, and then it just kind of transformed into whatever the newest book coming out is when they moved to 5th edition. But yeah, so I mean it's great.
Which works for that game because
they only play like 4 times a year. So
well, and it's kind of supposed to be kind of wacky and like, whoa, we're here now.
Yes.
Whoa, now we're over here, and it kind of works with that group and the way that is. So
yeah,
it's fine.
Well, it's especially gotten even weird when they had to introduce Ravnica, so that kind of threw a big thing in there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and then this past week we got some more Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah.
They seem to have really been just like they must have had some creative juices flowing. So we got. It's been 3 weeks, I think, consistently that we've been getting new stuff. So we've got the Twilight Domain for clerics, the School of Onomancy for wizards, and the Circle of Wildfire for druids.
You should be all over that Onomancy one with what you just read.
100%. I was just like, oh, how fitting, how timely.
Yeah, how timely with that, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the Twilight Domain seems pretty interesting. It's how it's like based on like heroics and safety and everything, and it's like like that just seems a bit odd. Like you would think Twilight would be more related to like trickery or something, but since they already have a trickery domain, they didn't want to step on those toes. But it just seems like that they would have just called it like heroism as the domain.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I don't know. I didn't look too much into that one just because for whatever reason it didn't like call to me.
It's got some weird stuff where it's like granting people like super dark vision.
I listened to their videos on it.
Okay.
Just while I was doing my WoW thing, just for background noise during the monotonous grind. And yeah, I that's one thing that popped out was like infinite distance dark vision. I was like, oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, which brings up one of the things that I think a lot of people forget is that with even standard dark vision is that you treat like darkness as dim light. So one thing to remember, folks, is that dim light you have disadvantage on perception checks.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean the fact that it just, it basically gives you, just unlimited dark vision is pretty cool. And that you can grant like party members unlimited dark vision for 10 minutes at a time.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. There's also like a field of twilight that you can generate that either causes damage or bolsters your allies. So that's pretty neat. Yeah. It kind of makes me want to do like Zelda stuff with D&D with the Twilight domain.
There you go.
Since they have the Twilight folk. But yeah, Circle of Wildfire for druids. This is where you get all up in your elemental magic with really fire specifically.
I like this with druids just because I like them hitting the other aspects of nature that aren't like so woodsy and foresty.
Yeah.
No, let's do fire. Fire.
Well, and it does.
Nature.
Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of like how they put it. They understand the necessity of destruction, such as how a forest fire promotes growth.
Want to know? You might get this one, Courtney. You League of Legends, Udyr.
Yep.
Udyr, back when I played long ago.
Yeah.
His whole deal was he had the 4 elements you could switch between.
Yeah, I think they were. I never played him, but I always understood him as more like totems.
He was a jungler. Was at least I played him as jungler.
Yep.
And but he was kind of like a druidic, naturey, shamany guy.
Yep.
But it just was all the elements. So that was he didn't have traditional abilities. He just had different auras. He would switch between 4 auras instead of using 4 abilities, and each aura would give him different boosts or buffs or whatever.
Yep.
And the trick to playing him was you could stack them on top of each other if
4 auras. But we covered that monk already.
Oh yeah. But I just think of that as I get it. Druids are nature. I get it. But I just let's look at some of the different aspects of nature you don't think of. Have they done a water one yet? I can't remember.
I don't know if they have for druids.
That
druids they haven't
do
haven't really done a
druid of the swamp or druid of the sea or druid of the I don't know, something.
Yeah.
That would be a good one to do, I think. Do druid. They did lightning sorcerer cleric, so storm cleric.
So they've done storm sorcerer. I think there's also storm clerics.
So I think you should do some type of druid of the maelstrom. That would be the water one. Druid of
Well, I mean, storm. You could argue that you could do like a like a coastal kind of druid, which would be kind of sea and storm.
That's what I'm thinking. But I just
that's what barbarian gets.
Yeah, I think you could hit all the elements of the druid. Honestly, you start to bleed into other classes, I think, with that. But
yeah,
whatever. So a lot of times for me, the class is just the aesthetic and not necessarily the abilities. So whatever. If you have a subclass that bleeds, if I want to play a druid that's more offensive, you would say, why don't you just play a sorcerer? Well, because I like the druid aesthetic and kind of background more than the sorcerer background. But I want to basically do the same thing. So why not allow people to kind of have that option?
I think it's really cool. I actually have a friend that's going to be playing a wildfire druid, and he we're like super excited about his summon wildfire ability. Because not only does it actually like it like comes in, and so as a you can summon a primal spirit bound to your soul, and as an action you can use one of your wild shapes to summon it, rather than assuming beast form. And so when it comes in hot, and everything within 10 feet of it, where you choose to um, make it appear, has to make a dex saving throw or take 2d10 fire damage.
Yeah.
And then you get to, in combat, like it shares your initiative, but it takes its turn like directly after yours.
This is
And then you can, if you leave it alone, like you can, it just takes the dodge action, but you can also take your bonus action on your turn to command it to do like one of the actions in its stat block or things like that. And you have it for an hour, which is really awesome.
That's a very
until
long
it's
time.
reduced to 0 hit points.
Yeah.
That's Shamans and WoW had that at one point.
Yeah.
Basically, you could summon a fire elemental for, I don't know, it was like 30 seconds or something.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, do shamans not have fire elemental totem anymore?
In retail, I don't think so.
Oh no. Not that I ever used it.
Well, I play enhancement, so I don't think enhancement does.
Yeah.
Or if I did, it was a skill I didn't take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I was like, don't need it. Have Earth.
But it's really cool because it's not just like you determine how the spirit like appears. You know, some of them are a form of a humanoid figure made of like gnarled branches covered in flames, and others would look like, you know, like a wolf wreathed in fire, things like that. So I really, really like the look at this. The more that the more that I've like looked into it, and I kind of want to play one.
Yeah. And the fact that like you still have the flexibility of being able to use wild shape if you don't want to summon makes
This basically is just, instead of you turning into something, you can get something.
And I like that we have 2 druid subclasses now that allow you to get alternate uses out of wild shape. Because the spore druid's the other one. So I think it's really interesting. And I like the direction that they're going with thinking about different uses of existing mechanics.
Different uses for existing mechanics or different point abilities or whatever. I think that's a good. I think, I mean, you can't go wrong with fire stuff. Fire is just,
you really can't.
In fantasy and all that, fire is always like the element, right? You always think of a flaming sword or fireball, or
you just want to make sure that you pick up Elemental Adept as a feat to negate fire resistance.
Yes, you do need to pick that
Especially if you're going into Avernus.
Yeah, my friend that did it, like, he made sure that he picked that feat because it's really... You have to meta it like that.
Although, they do know...
You have to build like that.
So, like, for the war machines in Avernus, there is, like, a flamethrower option. And they mentioned, like, not really great for actually, like, attacking devils and demons and stuff. But... it's great against, it says, although useless against demons, it's great against flammable creatures and objects. So it's more for just, like, disrupting, a lot of, like, munitions depots and things like that.
It's used more as a...
it's to cause destruction of property.
Yes.
Okay, I'm into that.
Yeah. So there's always that option, too. So yeah. And then last up, the School of Onomancy, which is the School of Names.
Yeah, I think this is the most interesting one they dropped for sure.
In order to take the subclass, you must jump off the roof of a building.
We get that reference.
Yep.
Sorry, Court.
Or if you're Patrick Rothfuss, you can, plead for a chandelier. So, yeah.
What's that? I forget who was the professor
I got that
had
one.
to go through that. What's his name?
The naming professor? Eladin.
Eladin, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know more about Eladin.
I do too.
I don't think we're gonna get it. I think he's just. I also like that he's kind of mysterious and weird. And
oh yeah,
that's the whole deal. I like that.
Yep.
That's the rub, right? Whenever there's a character like that, you're like, oh, I want to know more. But when you do, it's like, oh, it's not as good anymore, right? That's anything.
Yep.
That's kind of mysterious. That mystery is always kind of the nice bit of it.
Yes.
But, yeah, the whole idea of having a school having to do with the true names of things, I think, is interesting, and made me think. Put on my DM hat and player hat because I feel like it could be busted.
He's thinking how to break it.
No, I'm thinking about how to combat the breaking of it. Honestly.
See, it's funny because it makes me think of the, like, when I first heard it, like, the first thing that came to my mind was, I was like, oh, so it's like those creatures in the Shakespeare episode of Doctor Who, where, like, you say their name, like their true name, and they disappear. And I was like, so something linked with those, like that type of power. And I was like, okay. And then I started like actually reading it. But
yeah. So one thing that I find interesting is that they get a basic feature, which is to compel people to divulge their true name, or things to divulge their true name. But it's a wisdom save against your spell DC. But if they succeed on the save, they're just immune to that feature. Period. It doesn't give you a thing where you can retry later.
Oh.
Does it have like how often you can use that feature?
You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Long rest, okay.
If it fails to save, it's charmed by you for until the end of your next turn, and you learn the charmed target's name or the fact that it lacks a name. But if it succeeds, you can't use this feature on the target again.
It's interesting.
Wow.
So I didn't read it much. Again, I just kind of listened to the video and kind of just my ears picked up on some of the interesting bits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are some of the specific abilities you get by knowing something's name?
So let's see. So the other one is basically you also get access to Bane and Bless. You always have them prepared. You can cast either spell without expending a spell slot if you speak the true name of one target of the spell as part of casting it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
You can cast the spells in this way a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You also learn words of power called Resonance, which are basically different riders on spells that when so you can use a resonant when you cast a wizard spell with a spell slot and you speak the true name of one creature targeted by the spell. Speaking the name is part of casting the spell. You can use resonance a number of times equal to half your wizard level. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Absorption is when you cast a spell that deals damage, you gain temporary hit points. There's devastation, which gives the creature disadvantage on the first save it makes against the spell. Dissolution, which is the first time the named creature takes damage, it takes extra force damage. Nullification is if it's affected by any other spells, you know what those spells are, and you can attempt to end one of your choice by succeeding on an intelligence check.
Oh.
So it gives you a free dispel magic as part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Nullification, which is... Nope, we just talked about nullification. Never mind. Puppetry. When it takes damage, you can knock it prone or move it up to 10 feet.
Okay.
Either toward you or away from you. And then sympathy. If the named creature is within range of the spell, you can target the creature with the spell even if you can't see the creature or it has total cover. I think that's going to be a popular one.
Yeah, just a little.
So like I said, I think there could be parts of this that might get a little busted.
At level 10, you gain 2 more resonance. Oh, so it's when you first gain the feature, you pick 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then every time you gain a level, you can swap. So at level 10, you get 2 more. At 14th level, you learn how to bypass named creature's defenses. When you cast a spell that deals damage, you can cause the spell to deal force or psychic damage to the creature instead of the spell's normal damage type.
Oof.
So there we go. Psychic fireballs!
Yeah.
There we go. Or
cool.
force
I
fireballs.
Like it a lot. I like it a lot. I like the whole idea, and I guarantee Rothfuss had something to say or input on this, because it's pretty much lifted straight up.
Kind of.
Not exactly, but I mean, it's the same sentiment and idea, right? I think it's probably inspired a lot by that, as I feel a lot of their recent Unearthed Arcanas are inspired by some things in popular culture.
And here's the thing. So they have this little sidebar about true names, where it's true name is the name by which a self-aware creature identifies itself.
So
it might be the name a person was given at birth, or one a person chose or earned later in life.
Oh.
Right. So when they were talking about this in the video, they said it's not necessarily my name is Joshua, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe I don't identify as Joshua. I identify as what's a good one?
Jacobin.
Yeah, sure. I just, when people say Jacobin is when I that's me. When people say Jacobin, I'm like, that's me.
Here's an even better example. Is so my dear friend John Henry.
Oh yeah.
So his name is John. But most of us, but at least for a time, I don't know if this is still true. For a time, he would answer to Ogre, and that was kind of his identified name. His true name was Ogre.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
I guess it also depends on the company I'm around too, because
there we go.
Like my online gaming community friends, I am Surge, because that's all my characters' names are always Surge. So people call me. Some of them, we've known each other so long, we're on regular first name basis now. But a lot of people just that's what I respond to, and that's what I identify as. People Surge, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Here's the interesting part is the next paragraph, which is you can try to hide your true name by using a pseudonym, but you must be wary not to inhabit that false name too deeply. If a false name comes to be the best expression of who you are, it becomes your true name.
Yeah.
Changing one's name is never a quick choice. It's something that happens over time as a name becomes the creature's truth. As a quick guide, a creature has a true name if it understands at least one language or it has an alignment. So yeah.
Okay.
I like that. Again, I'm going to talk about Kvoth because
he
has many names.
Many names.
Many names. A page full of names, literally. So, yeah, it's interesting. Again, I like the whole idea of it. I think you would have to make it like a normal school of magic within your world, like a relatively known school of magic, to make it viable and work. Otherwise, it would just be weird if you had this I'm the one wizard who knows how to do this, and it would seem crazy powerful, right?
Well, I think that you could do it something similar to how the differences between in Critical Role, how they have Dudamancy is a very if you do that in the Empire, they're gonna know that you are not from around there.
Well, I mean, but that's just true of any guarded secret. I mean, the same thing would be true of necromancy, right?
So that's
if you practice necromancy in most places, you're going to get thrown in jail.
So what I'm saying is you need to have a world where people aren't so quick to tell you who they are, right?
Yeah.
Because it's dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous to just be so trusting and to let people know who you are. So maybe people go by their middle name, or give their middle name to people they just met, and only people who are really close or really good friends might really know each other's names.
Or you kind of do the thing that they do in Rothfuss's books, and that which is a little more less cavalier in the true naming, where
yeah.
Just like a person's given name isn't like their true name is something like secret and deep that person may not even know.
Yeah, I also that's a good way to think of it too, right? So like the true name of a thing exists, but like for example, name of the wind, right?
Yeah.
What is the true word of wind?
Nobody
it's
knows.
Wind. Nobody
knows
well,
because when you hear it, if you don't understand it, you just hear wind.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe that's the case. Is like that somebody that actually knows the true name can speak it, and it just comes out as the given name that people associate.
Oh, I like that too.
So you could do it that way.
Unless you're like trained to hear it.
Yes.
Yeah, you could say the true name of the wind could be Kaburgabark, but you just hear wind.
Yeah.
When that person says that. Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea too. It's
interesting. I very much think that
would work. You could set up not perception checks, but
insight
checks. Check? Yeah.
Right. So like if a person wants to try to hear or like suspects or like maybe that Onomancy wizard is trying to hear the true name of something when somebody speaks or when something makes sound or whatever.
Yeah.
They have to make some type of insight check or something to see if they catch it. Or something along those lines. It doesn't have to be an insight check. Whatever DM thinks fits. But that was just me.
I think insight might be the best.
That's what I was just.
It also
that came up to me.
It also gives a use for insight aside from are they lying?
Exactly.
Yes. Lie check.
Yeah. That's so a little off topic, but that's one of those things where I wonder if they ever, or when they ever get around to 6th edition, if they're gonna, because there has been talk of, I know Crawford certainly mentioned it, of changing like perception to being more like armor class instead of a skill that you train in, since like it's universally good for everybody, and it's just kind of a thing of it gets abused a lot, basically.
It's
so to make it like a defense
skill not to pick proficiency in.
Yeah,
because it's used so often, right?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
So making it like a defense that you have, that like you don't necessarily train in, and then just saying that like, sort of like how, races like Warforged and Lizard Folk get sort of bonuses to armor class. You could have, races like elves get bonuses to perception. And then it's a matter of, the DM rolling stealth checks and then comparing it to people's perception scores, kind of a thing, as opposed to like them rolling perception to beat a stealth number.
Yeah, similar to how right now I know some DMs will go off of people's passives more.
Well, it's basically your passive perception would be your perception defense.
Yeah.
Basically is how that would work.
Yeah.
So.
And then
but just to see if they were to do that with insight, or if they would come up with other things to use insight for. I also like using insight for if the players need a hint, kind of give them an insight check, and then depending on the insight check, they might get a better hint.
Maybe, and this may be blasphemy, why not just add a 7th attribute that is perception?
That has also been suggested.
I know.
Or to change it up.
Attributes are kind of.
Or to change it up so that way, like it becomes more like I don't know, like like one mental stat and then perception and then charisma. Kind of a thing.
Maybe.
Or changing it so that charisma is more like resolve or something, so that it's like both charisma and willpower. But I've seen that as well.
That's a risky move, because that's
honestly Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
It is, because that's like the basis of everything, right? More or less.
Yeah.
Is the 6 attributes. That's the bottom of the pyramid.
But I have seen a lot of complaints about like the sort of the parity between like intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Especially intelligence and wisdom.
I've seen the intelligence wisdom like debate a few times.
I get that one though. That one makes a lot of sense to me. Just interacting with human beings.
It's more of
and knowing the difference between just being smart and knowing how to apply your smarts.
But I think then it's also like because wisdom encompasses like sort of common sense, but also willpower, but also senses, but also
it's experience as well.
Yeah. So
it's all those things multiplied by your experience as a person, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it seems like it encompasses a lot more than other ability scores do. So that's why it seems to be like a catch-all for like...
You're right, because how many times do we use int saves? Not
Never.
A lot.
Only when
Unless I goof and use them instead of wisdom by accident, and I'm just like, we're gonna go with it anyway.
Or you don't goof, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, we never use int saves. Nobody is proficient with int saves.
And that's also, that's me. That's a lot of times I put that on like my made up monsters just because I'm like, I know we never use this, and I know not a lot of people in my group are very good at it, so it'll be fun to mess with them with it. Why not?
Yep. So, I would say, based on the conversation that we've been having, folks, if you want to play wizard that follows the school of Onomancy, you owe it to yourself to read The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear, at the very least, to get a sense of like what you could do and how you could think about Onomancy.
And also how to play a bard.
Yeah, how to play a bard.
slash rogue / monk.
Oh, so I should read that to learn how to rogue?
How to play a bard.
I guess.
Bard has a lot of overlap with the rogue stuff.
It does. Well,
so
why is Van's Fear? He like goes and I always imagined he goes and trains for a while.
He does.
I always imagined that as like monk training.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, that part was interesting. And kind of monk training.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was
anyway.
Weird.
There's a lot that happened in that book. But it was like a lot that happened in the last half of the book, or the last third of the book.
Yeah.
And it was like the first 2/3 of the book was like on one path.
Yeah.
And it was like, maybe a lot happened, maybe a lot didn't happen.
Well, a lot of it like is always like, am I going to be able to pay for my classes this semester?
Yeah.
That's a lot of lot of that book in the beginning.
Mood.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. So.
Yes.
Anyway. All right. So what else do we have this week? Untitled Goose Game is out.
Yeah.
Honk, indeed.
What is a goose?
What is it?
The goose is terrifying, is what it is.
I love that.
All geese are terrifying.
So I have not picked up this game yet. I might pick it up, and it might be the next game night, like 8-Bit Adventures game night game, because I feel like it's the perfect thing to like play for an hour and a half and like make mischief. And I heard it was likened to it's kind of like a more wholesome version of Grand Theft Auto, where the whole point of the game is to just run around and make mischief, but it's because you're doing like more
you're stealing the gardener's watering bucket. You're
stealing the gardener's rake and throwing it into a pond, as opposed to like, you're meeting up with prostitutes and then like killing 50 people on your way there.
I mean, maybe there's a hidden part of the goose game you don't know about.
I mean, it is a goose game. I mean, geese are vicious.
It's also kind of
geese are vicious.
I think it's the combination of that and like one of my favorite games, Metal Gear Solid. Because it's very stealth, right? So the whole point is to be stealthy so you don't get caught.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to take the rake and drag it to the pond, but if the guy sees you, you're a goose, so he's just gonna come and take it away.
Yes.
Dude, he can take it from my cold dead porn.
So Courtney, you don't attack people.
But it's a goose.
Is your options are like you can flutter your wings, which they nerfed the damage output on the wings so that you don't break people's arms or anything if you do that.
But you're a goose.
So you just flutter your wings. You can like grab stuff and you can honk and move around, and that's like your controls.
See.
And you just wander around this village and just like honk at people and take their stuff.
my literally only objection with this is, but they're a goose.
Yes.
Geese are terrifying. Have you ever been chased by a goose?
Yeah, but
it's not fun.
But I'm a human being, and I could grab that goose by
No.
the neck and throw it pretty far.
Goose are vicious, man.
Well, this one is not a vicious goose, Courtney.
Okay.
It's just a silly little white goose.
It is.
All geese are vicious that I have ever known.
Also, this goose does not hiss, so that takes away the terror factor by like a million.
That does.
It just honks.
That really does.
It just honks.
Just honks.
Just honks.
Okay, what is this, like the ugly duckling? They were raised.
You should watch clips of the game at some point, and you'll get it.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to.
Also, you play as the goose.
Yeah,
so.
I understand that you play as the goose.
I
completely understand that.
It beat out Link's Awakening the week it came out in sales.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was like, wow, that was surprising to me.
No, I'm not surprised by that.
I'm not, but I also kind of am, because a lot of people were talking about Link's Awakening. Like, that was like the big thing. But this little Untitled Goose Game
that started out as a joke on a Slack channel. That they were like, "Hey, what if we made a game about a goose?" And then they were just like, "Okay, well, what does it have to have?" And I guess they were weighing like pros and cons of goose, and they couldn't figure out like any.
Is then, if this was a team effort, has nobody been chased by a goose?
Because you're a human. You would beat the crap out of a goose in a few seconds.
But isn't it also like, I think I saw some, isn't it like an Australian-based like game?
I think they're European.
Okay. Either way, geese
where they
everywhere
eat
are
geese.
Terrifying.
So think about that.
They are a little bit more docile no.
They do not have the Canadian geese over there.
Yeah, why is it Canadian geese are such jerks? Well, Canadian people are amazingly friendly and nice.
The rumor is that once a year they conduct a secret ritual to pour all of their negative energy into the geese, and that is why they are so nice.
Yeah,
also, the Canadian geese spend a little bit more time in America than actual Canadians.
How far south do they go when they migrate? I don't even know. Like, how far south do they go?
I think they go pretty far south.
Do they go to like South America?
No.
I don't know. I literally don't know. I have no idea. Like, do they stop at Florida? Because that would explain it.
How far south do Canada geese fly?
How far down do they migrate?
Thanks, Canada Goose Facts. I don't need to know what altitude they fly at.
Important.
I mean, it's like knowing the flight speed of an unladen swallow.
Yeah.
These are things that we just
have no, it has been introduced into the United Kingdom, Ireland, New Zealand, Argentina, Chile, and the Falkland Islands.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
How far south? How far south? Wintering range, southern United States.
Okay.
Yeah. So they go to the south. They go, Bible Belt and south. Yeah, that explains a lot.
Or into northern Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about as far south as they go.
All right. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I never knew.
You learned to hear, folks.
I did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So my statement was not terribly wrong.
Untitled Goose Game. Let's see what price it is. Untitled Goose Game.
Can't be that much. 20 is my guess.
15.
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, it might be 15, but I'm gonna go with an even 20 or 19.99.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see what it comes up as.
Nintendo, why are you not giving me...
Untitled Goose Game. I can look on Steam real fast. Oh, never mind.
Oh, $19.99.
Hey!
$20. So yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I've heard the only thing is that it's very short.
I imagine that's partially why I imagine such a low price.
That's why I imagined. That's why I thought about 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you do is you put the Metal Gear Solid theme on while you play.
100%.
Whatever other music it's got.
Yep.
And then you're just Solid Goose.
Yeah.
Solid Goose.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you go fight Dracula.
They couldn't because it's Konami. Konami would never do it. But like some type of DLC where the goose gets Solid Snake's stealth outfit.
Nice.
I would buy it just for that. But I've heard. I mean, I think it's kind of a novelty game, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
It's fun, right? It's a silly game. It's a fun premise. There's lots of nice memes about it.
Dedicated honk button.
There's a dedicated honk button.
Is listed as a feature of the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of memes talking about honks lately.
Yeah.
So many memes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's great. 100%.
Imagers just filled with them. I believe that I came across a goose like dump of just goose memes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my, that's a thing.
So, and then last up, this is just really quick. Pokemon Sword and Shield. So we talked about Surfetch'd on our last episode.
Yes.
The evolved form of Farfetch'd, available in Pokemon Sword. We've gotten our latest Pokemon reveal is an exclusive to Shield, and it's the Galarian Ponyta, which is a pretty little unicorn that dwells in the Enchanted Forest, and it has an ability that makes itself and its any partner Pokemon immune to poison. It is Psychic type, not Fairy type, like people thought it was going to be.
I now have to weigh the pros and cons and see if I'm gonna switch my pre-order back.
One thing to note is another Shield exclusive is Tyranitar.
Mm-hmm.
So Sword gets Jangmo-O instead of Tyranitar.
Yeah.
So
I have to now look at the exclusives list and see which one I'm gonna actually settle on.
I think I'm still getting Sword. Because I don't need no Psychic Horse to make or break a game for me. It's also thought that the Rapidash form is going to have wings and just like destroy every pony fan with its adorableness.
Yes. Why do you think Courtney is now contemplating choices in her pre-order?
I was hoping for so instead of the Galarian Ponyta, how about the Scottish Ponyta, where it's a water type and it's just a murder pony. I want a Scottish Ponyta that's just a Kelpie.
You want
and just goes around trying to murder people. Yes. Make it ghost water, because that's always a cool typing. Or dark water. That's another neat one. Don't have too many of those. So, but yeah, that got revealed in so it got revealed in one of these live streams where they showed like this forest scene. I've seen a couple of these where it's like a still image basically, or looks like a still image, and then they have like little Pokemon come running in, and it's like a 30-minute live stream, and occasionally like you'll see a little Pokemon come running across and different stuff. It's made to look at like a live feed of like a wilderness setting.
Yeah.
That you would have like in real life, and you might occasionally see animals coming in and out or whatever, but yeah. I've seen it done with Monster Hunter too, and that's pretty interesting. So.
Yeah, no, I gotta seriously think though about what I want.
Yeah.
About which exclusives I might, because now, please, Sean, tell me if you know the answer to this. Will there be cross-platform, like, trading able to happen?
What do you mean cross-platform?
So,
you ain't getting that on PlayStation or Xbox.
No. I mean, like, if you have one version and I have the, will we be able to trade back and forth to fill up our Pokedex?
Yes. That's like the whole point of Pokemon.
I'm wondering with the exclusives like that, that's still going to be a thing.
That is literally the whole point of Pokemon, yes.
I was wondering if they were like taking that out for some reason.
No.
With the whole being able to trade via different. Okay, cool.
No. They're even coming out with Pokemon Home.
Okay.
So that, for example, if Megan wanted to have her own copy of the game, we would not have to have multiple Switches in order to trade.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
I
no,
just wanted to make sure that they weren't like messing with that.
No.
Okay.
No, they're still keeping that. That's how they make twice as much money on Pokemon.
Yes, that's how they sell the
because
double packs.
they force people to buy exclusive versions.
Because you buy the double pack. And,
well, I'm not buying the double pack.
No, but I've been offered the double pack. I say no, there's no reason.
But I mean, unless you and I want to go splitsies on a single double pack, because I think you get a slight deal on that. But
I'd be willing to do that.
We'll talk about it off stream.
Yes.
So, but that is going to wrap up the news for this week. So why don't we talk about this big news in 8-Bit Adventures Land? All right, so folks who saw the post on Facebook noticed that the stream schedule was a little different this week. I am going to be changing things up. Had 2 weeks off to think about it, got married, think about that, and decided I want to change things up a bit, kind of because I noticed I was spending a lot of time either on stream or trying to get comics done and a lot of that stuff, and oftentimes like didn't have enough time to do everything, and so basically going to cut back a little bit and then refocus some of my stuff, to kind of make things a bit easier to figure out a content strategy. So I wrote down a summary of what the changes are going to be. So basically the art stream, the ever popular art stream, is going to move to Thursdays. So there will not be any streams on Mondays anymore. Game night is now going to be bi-weekly. So this means that there won't be a game night stream every week. It's going to alternate with the art stream. And the way that works is game night is going to be on the same weeks as Tales of Jamora, and the art stream is going to be on the off weeks. This is in case if we're not doing anything on Friday night, I might add a game night stream that week. Berkshire Bites is going to move to go up on non-Jamora weeks, so that way we don't get inundated with having everything to do on a week that there's Jamora.
Yes.
The art stream and the game night streams are no longer going to be posted to YouTube. So this means that you will have 2 weeks to be able to watch it on Twitch as part of the back catalog. After that, they just go away. What I'm going to do is instead make more YouTube-specific content for YouTube. So these might be things like speed drawing, or doing more like actual Let's Plays instead of, me just like playing on stream and then reposting that and calling it a Let's Play. But actually doing some editing and stuff like that. I've also thought about maybe doing like a very short form, like 2 to 3 minute Ask a DM type videos for anybody that might have questions or want to talk about topics or anything like that.
Oh, Sean, I have so many questions.
Yeah, and there we go.
I have so many questions.
And then lastly, none of this will affect this podcast or Tales of Jamora. They will still go on the same schedule. they will still be posted to YouTube, mostly because those are kind of the main bread and butter type stuff, and they're available in podcast format, so they should be available in video format as well. Yeah, it's just the other streams are a bit more ephemeral, and it's stuff that I don't know if it really needs to be archived and held around, but because I'd rather make stuff on YouTube that's meant to be more in a sort of YouTube friendly format. So, yeah. Comics not going to change. So you'll still get one. So patrons will still get one Speedy and Monty comic each week, and then there will still be an 8-Bit Adventures comic each week. So this is to kind of help, so that I have the mental capacity to be able to create those comics. And then aside from the week change, Berkshire Bites will still go up on the same day, and everything. So yeah. So really, it's just the big thing is game night and the art stream. Just kind of consolidate. So this basically means that the streams will go up Wednesday through Friday. So that basically gives Megan and I a couple days where it's just we don't have anything to do, and it's just us. So, because I want to spend time with my wife.
Yay!
So yeah, and that's it. I mean, there's not really any content to talk about because there hasn't been anything for the past 2 weeks. So there you go. This week there will be an art stream, and I will be working on commissions. So, yes.
How do I formally submit a commission?
So, I'm glad you asked, Josh.
Glad you asked,
if
Josh.
You want to, if you have pie cakes and you want to spend those pie cakes on things, how do they say this on the C Team podcast? If you're surrounded by things that just remind you of the endless state of decay around us and are crushing under the weight of entropy, the only way to combat those things is to buy new things at the peak of freshness. Disclaimer, copyright 2019 Penny Arcade. But yes, if you want to spend your pie cakes on any of the things in the stream store, you can either go to the store website. There should be a link in the channel, sort of in the channel menu down below, and you can redeem them there. And what I do is every couple of days I check to make sure if there's been any redemptions, and then we'll contact people from there. Otherwise, you can also enter in chat commands to redeem them in the chat. So, and I have those commands down in the channel description on Twitch.
Cool.
In case that's not clear for folks. So, yeah, go to twitch.tv/8bitadventures, and in the channel description, you'll find instructions on how to do it, or a link to the store itself. So,
I have a commission I'm gonna submit.
I know you do.
You know what it is.
I know what it is. I've just been waiting for you to cash in the pie cakes.
The pie cakes he's sitting on.
With the boys.
And that's it. That's it.
That's it.
We can't do any more.
There he is.
Oh no!
In my room.
No, we can't do any more, man. We can't do any more.
So, yeah, and that's what I got for this week in 8-Bit Adventures. So, make sure that we end things on time. Let us move now into Quest Log. Quest Log is where we talk about what sort of geeky stuff we've been up to. Courtney, have you been up to anything geeky? Because you did not fill out the show notes.
I did not fill out. I just picked up Call of Cthulhu yesterday, because that launched yesterday, October 8th for the Switch. I have not gotten a chance to play it yet, because school and internship. But I did get a chance to binge Big Mouth season 3 today, and the new Carmen Sandiego season is out, so I'm going to be trying to binge that really quick too.
Yep, we also finished Big Mouth season 3. We also started Disenchanted season 2.
That's really good. I did that last 2 weeks ago.
What is Big Mouth? I saw ads for it.
Big Mouth is the Nick Kroll animated series about his childhood, basically.
It's basically
kind of moved into today and dealing with puberty and
just seemed the ads I saw were weird, so I didn't.
They are because it is.
Yes. They also they make you feel weird.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's
as long as it makes you feel something, it's worth it.
It's an animated comedy that focuses on puberty and the issues surrounding puberty.
Okay.
Yes.
And physical coming of age type stuff.
All right.
So.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's TVMA.
Yes.
And it gets pretty graphic. So.
All right.
Yes, it does. It's really weird beyond anything.
Yep. Yep.
It's to me, I actually kind of see it as if either of you guys have seen Hulu's Pen 15. It's another, but it's a live action.
Yeah.
Of awkward teenage girls going through awkward teenage girl things or adolescent girls. It's an animated version of that with a focus more on the male side of it, and includes fantastical elements such as hormone monsters.
Yeah.
So.
And for what it's worth, they actually, for the most part, do a really good job at presenting accurate information.
For the most,
and I say that there have been a couple of instances where where folks have complained about stuff not being quite accurate. Yeah. But for the most part, yeah.
And one thing that's nice though is it focuses on the characters in 7th grade.
Yes.
So hopefully with the next season, there may be some sort of, oh, hey, we learned this and our previous definition that we knew was wrong. To kind of show, one, that the writers are actually paying attention, and two, that to actually show that the kids are growing and learning different, kind of like how when you were in elementary school, what you learned completely changed when you moved into middle school, and then completely changed again when you moved into high school, and just got more complicated but less. And that's what I'm hoping happens next season. That's what I really hope happens next season.
Yes. Okay.
But that's all I've really been doing, because school and internship and work and everything else.
Yep.
Life is interrupting my ability to have fun.
Yeah. Josh, you
your
have here.
Have fun happens within your life, though.
Yes.
Not mutually exclusive.
Yep.
Think about
so, Josh, you have WoW Classic.
Yeah. So that's
still chugging along.
Game. Still chugging along. My enhancement shaman. I need more mana. A lot.
So not to stir up controversy, but you mean you haven't canceled your account with the news that Blizzard is kowtowing to China?
I wasn't gonna bring it up on stream.
Actually, considering I talked with a couple people today I play with, and we're like, "What?" We feel kind of wrong.
I was not going to bring it up on stream because we don't talk about those types.
I thought about bringing it up just because
here's my favorite thing about all this is how they're making May an icon for the whole free Hong Kong deal.
Well, and
try to get Overwatch banned in China.
Well, yeah. Well, or it's to get Blizzard to remove May from the game.
Well, yeah.
Which, like, now there's been people that are like, oh, wait a minute. Now we can fix the meta. I will go along with this idea.
So yeah,
but anyway.
to
but
get
anyway,
off that because you don't do politics, so
we don't do that.
Yeah,
here.
I will steer you felt away from that.
It was worth.
I didn't bring it up for a reason.
I felt it was worth a throwaway.
I asked if I should just type in all caps "Free Hong Kong" in Baron's chat and see if I get banned or not. I don't know. So yeah, playing WoW Classic. I'm level 54 on my shaman. I started in alt because my shaman is actually it's kind of boring to play. It's a lot of waiting for auto attacks.
Yep.
Honestly, and occasionally doing a shock spell. So I made a hunter. Orc hunter.
Well, I hate to disappoint you.
So far I do not feel. I feel it's more active than shaman.
Okay.
Honestly.
That's why I ended up stop playing WoW Classic, is because for me it turned into Auto Shot Tycoon 2004.
I mean, I'm applying right now. I'm applying the serpent sting, whatever, some
serpent sting.
Occasionally doing an arcane shot.
Yeah, but it turns out, I mean, so if you're gonna kill the thing within 20 seconds, like there's not really value in applying serpent sting.
Well, if it's the first ability you shoot, sure, why not?
Just for mana efficiency purposes.
I haven't run into mana problems yet. I imagine I probably will eventually, but we'll see. But I actually like playing the hunter. It's a nice change from shaman. It's ranged.
Yeah, I could definitely see
that. More active.
Yeah.
Because I'm also semi-controlling my pet and like telling it somewhat what to do.
Yeah.
So like there's that added layer of what's going on. I'm like level 13 or 14 on my hunter. So
oh wow.
I mean that was a couple days. That was like maybe 4 hours of playing it. That doesn't take that long to get to it. I mean I just chugged. So do that. I haven't really played any other video games. I'm looking at a game called Indivisible that just came out.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I was going to mention it in the news, but it looks something that's really up your alley, Sean. It looks like aesthetically and gameplay-wise something you might like. But I also think I might be into it. So I'm putting that on the back burner, something I'll want to play eventually probably. I've had Borderlands 3 sitting installed on my computer, but all the people I'm playing with are also all playing WoW Classic, so we're all kind of still...
There you go.
You're all procrastinating together?
No, we're all just cracked out on WoW Classic. Once we all hit 60 and are kind of bored of doing MC and whatnot, I'm sure we'll play other stuff. I like Borderlands 3. I finished reading the second book of the Live Ship trilogy.
Okay.
I started reading. Here it is. Last one was Ship of Madness. It was called Ship of Destiny. Really good. It's a great trilogy. Robin Hobb, actually, this is the 6th book I've read by her this year, and it all takes place in a larger world. So I really like her writing. Her character writing is great. That's what I like the most about it. It can get me through all the pirate and sea stuff. And I'm watching an anime called Vinland Saga. It's really, really good. You should watch it. It's about Vikings. It's semi-historically accurate.
I think I saw something about that.
That sounds good.
Really good.
You just jerked my head up on that, dude. Like, where are you watching this on?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Nice, I have that.
Which is a weird place for it to be, but it is. There's maybe 10 episodes of it. It's a very slow starting anime. Obviously, it has some over-the-top action that's not accurate to how humans in the year 1000 move, like jumping 53 through the air between long ships, whatever. But like, it's somewhat accurate in the names and like the battles and where the Vikings were moving in those times. So it's historically accurate with some over-the-top action. But it's more of a character story. It's really about the characters in it with like the intermittent. A lot of the episodes are just it's more intrigue and people talking and character development than crazy action. So it's really, really good. It's probably one of the breakout animes this year, I think. I really, really like it. So I think you should watch it if you're into that.
Nice.
That sounds really good,
I've been up to.
So I guess that leaves me. I have been playing River City Girls. Still playing through that. I think so. Basically, one thing that I did not notice when Josh and I were playing was when they do the dialogue, your little character portraits, like they will like lean out of their portrait frame to talk.
Oh, okay.
And they have little animations and stuff that they do to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So I've been playing that, just unlocking new abilities for I can't remember her name now.
Kyoko?
Kyoko? I think Kyoko. Yeah. So now I'm up to like a 6 or 7 part combo and then dabbing for the win. It's just so satisfying. Kyoko has one of her finishers is she dabs and then it throws people across the screen.
Baddie across the screen.
It's great for clearing out space ahead of you to give you some breathing room.
It also, something I like about that as well, there's a really good game feel part of that. It has a really deep, bassy sound, and I would assume it probably maybe vibrates as well on the controller.
Okay, only because I can't do this myself, but...
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. The only thing that's more satisfying is I'm in the beach area right now, the oceanside area right now, and there's like giant tuna that you can pick up and wield as a weapon. Okay. The tuna is like twice the size of you, so it has plenty of reach. It deals a lot of damage, and it like hits multiple people at the same time.
Oh, that's good. That's
perfect weapon.
Yeah,
and they're everywhere. So and then when they're ready to when their durability is out, it just explodes in a thing of like fish bones and the head flies off and everything.
Oh, that's just gross. That's just 16 different
But it's awesome when you throw it at people. So
no.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah. Found at some point there was a video game store. All of the video games restore 100% of your health.
Really?
So that's cool, but they cost $100.
Yeah, I bet there's something.
And I found a store which, when you carry such items, it says when you carry it, but you can also use it. It prevents items of a certain type from breaking. So, yeah. So, like, there's one thing that's like, oh, sporting goods don't break when you wield them as weapons. So,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, also finding out, basically the best ratio for items, like cost to health ratio is, there's a place in like the seedy downtown area called Legal Drugs. And it's just like a pharmacy. But it's run by like a Daft Punk robot guy. And that one, it just has the best ratio. Like buying a first aid kit and stuff like that. It costs like $30, but restores 60% of your health. Or like $28, but restores 60% health. But yeah, combos are really good. Enemies are interesting. Running into like basically Terminators.
Okay.
That I had the sound off when I first encountered them, and I didn't realize until much later when I had the sound on. Like when you fight them, they go like and so they do like all like Arnold like just blathering when you hit them and stuff. So that's fun. So I also read The Wise Man's Fear, book 2 of the King Killer Chronicles. I did. So 1,107 pages in 3 days.
You're crazy. I read a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't read.
This is why I
binge read like that.
This is why I don't read a lot.
But see, that's what you do on your honeymoon when you go to the beach.
I think other things you're supposed to do on your honeymoon. But
I'm also worried I may have strained my eyes doing that, or strained my neck doing it. Which is given me dizzy spells. But yeah. So great book. As Josh and I were talking about earlier, it's like the first 2/3 of the book is still like, how am I gonna make tuition?
Make money for college? I'm gonna go play music at the bar.
And like, do I take out a loan? Do I not take out a loan? And basically like that for 2/3 of the book. And then the last third of the book is like, oh my god, so many things are just crammed into like.
And my favorite part is like, they skip over one whole part in a paragraph. It's like, I could tell you about the ship journey there, and the crash, and the pirates, and almost dying, but it would take too long. And and then we did this.
Or he's like, oh yeah, also there was a murder trial.
Yeah.
Or not a murder, like, oh yeah, I was brought up on charges of witchcraft. We're not going to talk about the trial at all, but I won.
And it's like, and then he goes on a journey, and then he gets trained by these mercenary warriors, and then he's in the Fae.
Yep. He's just like, yeah, it's just, and also it sets up all these things, and I'm like, well, okay, so that's going to come back to bite him. That's going to come back to bite him. This is going to come back to bite him. That's going to come back to bite him. It's like, so Kvothe ends up, basically, like, he was in the employ of a kind of basically the king, but not really the king.
Yeah. Was that with like they put the coin in your when you come in the room, they put the coins in the thing?
A ring, yeah.
A ring, that's what it was.
Yes. Yeah, they used rings like to denote like, oh, like, yes, status. I'm visiting you, and and social status and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was pretty interesting.
It was. So like if you see the rose gold ring, oh, someone of high status, or that person must have come to see you. You must be relatively high status too if they came to visit you.
Well, it was so you would give
jewelry around. What's going?
Well, so you would give a copper ring to someone of lower status than you.
Yeah,
silver ring.
Time since I read it, so I forget exactly.
A silver ring to someone of equal status, and then a gold ring to someone of higher status. And then there's a couple other exceptions. Notably, a bone ring is like just a special, very personal one. And then
I mean, carved out of your rib bone?
No. No. Not out of your rib bone. It would be
I'm joking, but yes, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
You said personal, so you know.
And then so spoilers, but basically there is a very prominent character that when she learns of Kvothe's heritage, basically throws him out of this I can't remember. Basically this king's employ. And gives him a wooden ring, which when Kvothe, asked this about the only other friend he'd made in court, the guy's like, well, man, I didn't think she'd actually do it. Huh. That's yeah. So it's like, yeah, remember how we talked about this? How there's like gold and then silver and then copper. And then, it used to be the case that, like, you would give the servants and stuff, like, wooden rings. But then, the gentry then figured out, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't, offend servants, since, they do things like take care of our stuff. And it's basically like you don't insult the chef at a restaurant because they might spit in your food kind of a thing. They figured that out, and they were like, okay, so we won't...
You're lucky if they only spit in your food.
Yes. So, yeah, let's not give them wooden rings as a way to... So basically it fell out of fashion. So it's basically just being given a wooden ring means that you are thought of as less than a person. Because they wouldn't give a person a wooden ring. Because there is a amount of, like, self-respect. There is an amount of respect as a basic human being.
There is a certain amount of dignity...
Yes.
That comes with being a human being.
That I acknowledge that you are a human being worthy of some level of respect. Base level of respect. Yeah. Whereas a wooden ring says, I don't even consider you that here. Yeah. But, so the part that I think is going to come back to bite Kvothe is that, so for his service that he did, he was given, like, he can basically say that he can perform in the name of this king, that he has access to the king's coffers to pay for tuition at the university.
No, yay!
And then there was like a couple other things. There's a couple other things that like he got that I don't think are relevant to the point that I'm going to bring up. But he then goes to the bursar at the university and says like, "Hey, check this out. And then the bursar's like, okay, so this just means that you can pay your tuition or whatever. He goes, no, no, no. It means that I can pay my tuition. Wink, wink. And the bursar's like, oh. So the bursar basically adds like a certain percentage on top of his tuition. And then the bursar pockets like half of that extra percentage. And Kavoth pockets the other half of that percentage. Kavoth then spends like the next 3 semesters basically
totally screwed.
Well, no. Here's the part where it gets bad. So your tuition, Courtney, is determined by your entrance exams and your interviews that you have to conduct at the beginning of every semester.
Okay.
The next like 3 semesters, Kavoth basically intentionally royally screws up his entrance exams and everything to get the highest tuition that he possibly can. Yes. Where he just basically acts as if he does not care anymore about what the professors think of him. And since there are hostile professors that take over as being in charge of his tuition, they assign him the highest tuition that they possibly can. And he's just like, well, they're fools. Since I'm not paying for it. Oh, and I get a percentage of it now.
Like you have to do good on these things so that you can afford to go.
The better you do,
the less you have to pay.
So the better you do on your exams, and then the better you do in the interviews, the lower your tuition is. In theory.
Okay.
Like they still could jack up your tuition, but
yeah.
But yeah. No, so he intentionally screws it up because he's like, well, I don't care. This guy threw me out and everything, so, yeah. And plus I get a cut of the tuition now. So, yeah. Yeah, 100% gonna come back to bite him, I'm sure.
I think my favorite parts of the book are just when he's, like, at school. So it's
yes. 100%.
Chapter, it's like, I went to class and I like learned how to do this magic thing and made this cool little device. And then I went and got drunk and played music at the bar all night with my friends.
Yep. Or we learn in the book that he basically has like a secret drink that he'll order where it turns out it's just water.
Yeah.
But the bar gives him a percentage of the basically they give him like the tips made from that drink. Mm-hmm. That people order for him.
So like when people are ordering him drink.
Right, he'll play music, then people will be like, oh, you're so good, here's a drink.
Yeah,
blah,
let me
blah,
get
blah.
you a drink.
And
then...
Yeah, let me get you a drink. What do you have it? And he'll say like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that blah, blah, blah is just water and it doesn't cost anything. So.
Yeah. And then he gets a cut from that. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty smart, if you ask me. Not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
100% all about that one.
Another thing I like about that is there's a lot of like I said earlier, a lot of like mysterious background lore that's indirectly talked about a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like doesn't have much to do with Kavoth at this point. Kavoth or the story. It's hardly has anything to do with them, but there's a lot of talk about these like ancient beings, and here was this ancient kingdom and city, and there was a hero who like was corrupted. He's basically Sargeras. More or less. He was a great hero
kind of. He's not quite that powerful.
He didn't stab the planet, I guess.
He did not stab the planet.
The part I don't like is how he's always chasing that girl around. It's annoying.
Yeah, it's at this point, it's like...
Well, because it's the same thing every time, right? So it's like, they'll get close to having a relationship, and then she disappears. And then a few months later, they meet up again, and the same crap happens. And it happens like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, so this isn't like she's like keeping him at edge. This is like she disappears and leaves and ghosts him.
Yeah, she does just leave. Yeah,
she does just leave.
She does just like peace out a couple times. Yeah.
So.
But it's not like she's saying, "No, you're gonna stay over here."
No, there's mutual interest, but it's just there's like weirdness.
Yeah.
But it's just because it's like it never goes anywhere. It's just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
To me, that part of the story.
Yeah. So anyway,
I think with the chief dog officer.
Yeah. You read Slow Regard to Silent Things, the novella. It's about Ari.
It's about who?
The girl, is her name Ari?
Ori, I think.
Ori.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
all about her. It's
cool.
Really good, and it's also good. It's a good book about obsessive compulsive disorder, basically.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Will do. So, and then last up, just really quick, Food Truck Champion. Megan and I played it. It was a game that we attempted to play after or before the rehearsal dinner that we picked up at Dark Water Games. It's a lot of fun. It's a game in which you guys own a bunch of food trucks and you're trying to outdo each other. So, definitely recommend.
I've got your Dungeon Mayhem expansion in my car.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
So do you have my shoes?
No.
No. Okay.
You gave me the Dungeon Mayhem and I put it in my car.
Okay. So basically I left my shoes at the rehearsal place. Anyway, so Chief Dog Officer says we got to go. So we're going to wrap things up here. If you want to catch more content from 8-Bit Adventures, be sure to check out 8-bitadventures.com. If you want to help support that content, you can become a patron at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Also, don't forget, if you have Amazon Prime, you can use that Twitch Prime subscription to become a sub here on Twitch. You get 1 free sub each month, and doing so helps this stream, helps this channel. We can get more emotes, and also helps you by giving you access to emotes. Big shout out, thank you to all of our current patrons. And lastly, our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can check out his work at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. We gotta go, so that's it for tonight, folks. So have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.
Bye, everybody.